Welcome to Sea Devil Nation, your home for Sea Devil Athletics here at Cape Fear Community College. I'm Trent Brinkley, joined by my partner Nick Denning and Zachary Hill. Welcome to your first installment of Sea Devil Nation, where we, Sea Devil staff, take an inside look at our student athletes on and off the court, as well as catch up with former athletes that have suited up for the Sea Devils in their years here, as well as interview coaches, both current and former coaches as well. So, Zach, what we got on tap today?
Today we are going to be talking to Faronte Drakeford, former CFCC basketball player, and we're also going to be interviewing our men's soccer head coach, C.W. Ponton.
So stay tuned. This is Sea Devil Nation with Trent Brinkley, Zachary Hill, and Nick Denning.
Sea Devil fans, this is Coach Mantlow from your nationally ranked men's basketball team. We're expecting another great season of basketball here in Sea Devil Nation, and we need you. Visit www.goseadevils.com for all your up-to-date info regarding men's basketball. See you in the Swartz.
Welcome back to Sea Devil Nation. I'm Trent Brinkley alongside Zachary Hill. We're now joined by our first guest here on the first podcast. This is Faronte Drakeford, the former Sea Devil men's basketball player who played from 2011 to 2013. He was the team's leading scorer during his sophomore season with 17.5 points per game. So please give a warm welcome to Faronte Drakeford.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well. Faronte, we're going to start, before we get into, how good of a player you were, as I just said, at Cape Fear, we're going to talk a little bit about your journey. You grew up and went to Pinecrest High School. What ultimately made you choose to play for Cape Fear out of high school?
I grew up in the Southern Pines, Aberdeen area, North Carolina. I went to Pinecrest, and there I met, I believe I know his wife is the coach for the volleyball team, Casey Coleman. He helped out on the varsity team, and when it was time for me to, decide what I wanted to do after high school, I was getting recruited by Division IIs, Division IIIs, but I really wanted to play Division I basketball, and me and Casey were close, and him and Mantlow are good friends, so he suggested community college or JUCO, and introduced me to Coach Mantlow. He took me down for a visit. I worked out for him, and ultimately I just decided that JUCO was the route I wanted to take, and to get me to the Division I level, and luckily it did.
Absolutely. Zach, you have a question for him?
Did you know about Mantlow, who played at Liberty?
I didn't know about him before I got to Cape Fear, but while I was there, he would kind of brag about it and try to act like he was better than some of us on the team. We kind of play one-on-one sometimes at practice, but after I got to Cape Fear, that's when I really found out about the impact he had on Liberty University.
Absolutely. And going off of that, Coach Lane was your assistant here, and Coach Lane was a point guard as well who played professionally, and as we brought up, Coach Mantlow played at Liberty. When you were choosing Cape Fear and you wanted to play D1, we'll get into a little bit about how you committed to Central Connecticut in a minute, but Cape Fear had some successful seasons when you were here. Talk a little bit about, the exposure that you were getting after your freshman season into your sophomore season when you led the team in scoring.
After my freshman season, my recruiting it started to pick up. I started getting interest from a couple Division I schools, and we had a fairly good season that year. But I know we could have finished a lot better than we did. But my freshman season was a pretty good one. So luckily, I started getting interests from D1 schools and things like that, like I wanted to.
Faronte, how would you say that CFCC and Coach Mantlow helped you grow as a player?
They helped me grow a lot, mainly by helping me reach the goals that I set out to when I committed to play there. And, Coach Mantlow, he's a great coach. He really cares about his players and their development, I would say. From the minute I stepped on campus, he believed in me. He believed in my game. He instilled a lot of confidence in me as a player, and that took me very far. Also, he really just taught me a lot about leadership and the winning attitude.
Absolutely. Going off of that, you did bring up a lot of praise about Coach Manlow instilling confidence in you guys. What kind of things did he teach you guys to be successful off the court? Because that is a big important piece to JUCO basketball, is you have to succeed in the classroom off the court as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He pushed academics. He pushed academics on us hard. He wanted us, to pass those classes and to be Division I eligible. And he did all he could to, make sure that happened for all of us. So, he was very involved with the academics. He was on top of us from tutoring, the study halls. So, off the court, he pushed just as much as he did on the court.
Faronte, would you please explain for us how your transition was from CFCC to Division I?
It was tough at first. I graduated CFCC in, I guess, May of 2013. Yeah, and straight from there, about a week, 2 weeks later, I was in summer school at Central Connecticut. So, of course, the courses are a lot tougher. The training is a lot tougher. The overall physicality of the game's faster, but I think I did fairly well at adapting, and I think I was prepared. I think I was mostly prepared, for the transition. I feel like being at Cape Fear helped a lot with that.
Absolutely. And when you did end up at Central Connecticut, you played for the great Howie Dickerman. For many of those that don't know about Howie Dickerman, he was an assistant for quite a while with Jim Calhoun at UConn. When you decided to play for Coach Dickerman, what was he instilling? Because I know he was also a great motivator, because I saw him play against East Carolina my junior season when I was a student at ECU.
Yeah, he's a great motivator and a unique style of coaching that a lot of guys, can't handle. He'll be tough on you, but he only wants the best, and he only wants to bring the best out of you. And I think he definitely did that with me. As far as playing, I feel like I had a great junior season. I believe I averaged almost 14 points a game, something like that. But he definitely brought out the best in me from his coaching techniques.
Absolutely. Did you know, really quick, I know this is going to make me sound like I know a lot about Howie Dickerman, but I actually do. Did you know that he was drafted in the same draft year as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
No, I did not know that. I believe I read something about it. I know they had more than 2 rounds back then.
Yeah, he was drafted in the 14th round to the Phoenix Suns a long time ago.
Faronte, do you have any comment on when you were on SportsCenter's top 10 for your number 1 play to Brandon Peele?
It's a play I'll never forget. I can't remember who was playing. I think Wagner. But Coach Dickerman drew up a play. It's a play we practice a lot. Where basically I would run the baseline, and Brandon would flash to the top of the key, and I would just launch it. Brandon has long arms, so I know he would catch it. The pass was a little off, but he caught it. He made an incredible shot. We won the game.
Absolutely, and that shot came with 1 second to go. Was that something that, Central Connecticut kind of was your highlight during your career, or was there another big highlight that stood out during your career at Central Connecticut State?
Well, I believe that's probably the most popular. That's probably the most popular play that I can remember, for sure.
Absolutely. We actually have the audio, if you want to hear it, from SportsCenter of your number 1 play, if you care to hear it, if it's been a while.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Wyoming wins it. But number 1, Central Connecticut State, Wagner, Faronte Drakeford, full court pass to Brandon Peele, catches and drains a 3 at the buzzer. They had 1 second to do that, and it works. 53-50, just their 3rd win of the season.
So, Faronte, that is the audio from SportsCenter. Take us back to the X's and O's. I know Coach Mantlo liked those. Coach Dickerman did as well. Take us back to the X's and O's. What did you see when that play went through the hoop when Brandon Peele made that shot?
I mean, like I said, I just ran to the I ran to the right, and I launched it to him. I seen he got a clean catch. He got a clean turn. I guess a guy was on him, but like I said, Brandon's a little taller. His arms are longer, so he got the shot off. And when I seen it drop, I mean, I couldn't believe it. We have been struggling a lot that season, so we definitely needed a win right there. So it was a great shot, a big shot for us.
Faronte, most recently you played for Azuqueca in Spain. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about your professional career?
Yeah, I played for Basket Azuqueca in Spain. It's located about, I'll say about 30 minutes outside of Madrid. But, yeah, it was my first professional year, and going into it, I wasn't sure what to expect, but it turned out I had a great season, great teammates, great coaching staff. We actually ended up having the best season that club has ever had, so it was a really big deal, and I'm glad I could help.
Absolutely. What was the transition like going from Cape Fear Community College to Central Connecticut to ultimately saying, I'm a pro basketball player in Spain?
I mean, it's what I always dreamt of. It's what I wanted to do. When I decided to take basketball seriously and put everything I had into it, being a professional was the ultimate goal. And last year I was able to achieve that goal. And I mean, now the only thing on my mind is continue to progress, continue to move forward, and ultimately let my talents and let the game of basketball take me as far as it can.
Faronte, playing in Spain I'm sure is different than playing in the United States, but living in Spain I'm sure is different than living in the United States. What was the hardest thing for you to adjust to living in Spain?
Oh, man. Well, of course, there's the language barrier. The food. I ate a lot of eggs. I don't know why they eat so many eggs over there, but I ate a lot of eggs. But I would say the hardest thing is just the fact that you're being away from family. You're out of the norm. And it takes some time to adjust, and I did, but I mean, when you're in Europe, you're 6 hours ahead, of East Coast time anyway, but so it was kind of hard at first. I was missing my family, but, quickly reminding myself that this is what I wanted to do, and this is what I always dreamed of, so, after a while I got adjusted, and it was, strictly business.
Absolutely. Faronte, before we let you go, is there a special shout-out or anything that you would like to say to thank Cape Fear for your time or anything about your pro basketball career?
Absolutely. A big thank you to Coach Manlow and the whole staff at Cape Fear Community College. Without me stopping through there, I don't believe that any of this would be possible. So I want to give a big thank you to him and the staff, everyone at Cape Fear while I was there.
No problem, Faronte. We definitely want to get you back on, if you can, during the Cape Fear men's basketball season this year, to talk a little bit about, maybe some stuff that the team's going through or anything that you've seen from the team this year.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you very much, Faronte.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Sea Devil fans and students, this is Coach Chris. We are winding down the fall sports and have a lot of good things coming up in the upcoming winter sports. Be on the lookout on GoSeaDevils.com and cfcc.edu/SACT for all the latest and greatest student activities and sports promotions.
Back to Sea Devil Nation. I'm Trent Brinkley alongside Sea Devil beat writer Nick Denning. We are now joined by Sea Devil men's soccer head coach C.W. Ponton. Coach, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Yeah, Coach, how would so this is your first season in charge here at Cape Fear. How would you describe your first season, as a head coach here at Cape Fear?
I really enjoyed it. I like the area. I like the school. the athletic department. We're all very close. Everybody's willing to help each other out with anything needed at any point in time. I liked my team. The personalities were very well. They grew together as a family very quickly. So as first season, even though it was rough with the wins and losses, as first season, I think it was pretty good.
What was one thing that surprised you about being a head coach that maybe you didn't anticipate?
Not a whole lot. I've been in the college game for a few years now, so really not a whole lot caught me off guard this season. I felt like I was pretty prepared.
Anything though that you learned then, that you feel like you can improve on, in the coming seasons?
Well, just get ahead of the game as much as possible. I was brought in pretty late, but once again, glad to be here. So the plan is to already get ahead and plans for the spring season, scheduling for next season, recruiting for the spring and the fall season, and looking at budget-wise and everything, just trying to be as far ahead of the game as possible.
As you mentioned, Coach, wasn't a disappointing season in some regards, but what were some positives that you could take away from this season?
Well, we had a very large freshman class, extremely large. There was only one starter who returned from last season, and one other player who got playing time from last season. So taking that into consideration, and how many players that we'll be bringing back next season, especially how many starters, makes me very confident in what we're going to be bringing to the table next season. Those guys will be sophomores. They'll already have college playing experience. They'll already know how we do things, so that they'll be able to prepare in the spring season and into next season. But I think the sophomore class really brought a lot to the table. They helped lead us. We had transfer student Christian Calderon, who transferred in from NC Wesleyan. He came in, became a captain later on in the season, but was a leader the entire season. Andrew Barton started last year, led it very well on the field, a talented player. McCartney Barrier played all 10 positions, was a captain the entire season, really led by example and pushed and worked hard. He was one player that I can say the entire season, every game was turned on and was giving his best effort the entire time. So those sophomores really made a big difference. And then, like I said, our freshman class and then some transfer sophomores. Brian Leet was also a sophomore that we had. This was his first year playing for Cape Fear. I think that he came in, though he struggled with injuries throughout the season, whenever he was on the field, he made a very big impact and helped us control the ball and distribute it. He also was a good leader off the field and served well as a captain the entire season, I thought.
So you're going to bring back a lot of players. What, though, are you going to be looking for this offseason with regards to recruiting? I mean, is there going to be a type of player that you're looking for, maybe a type of personality? What goes into your mind heading to the offseason?
Oh, hands down, personality first. They've got to have the right personality. They've got to have that work rate, that desire to get better and be a team player. That's a big deal. We did struggle with that with some people throughout the season, but we took care of that as the season went on. I'm very big on personalities because you can take someone who's not quite as skilled but has that desire and drive to improve and be a team player, and someone who succeeds off the field as well. That makes a big difference. Someone who is all in, and when I mean all in, I mean academically, fitness, soccer, as a teammate. So those are the first things we look for. The rest of the things can be taught, but it's hard to teach the right personality and the work rate. And then we'll look into tactically intelligent players that know where to be and when to be there. And then we'll look at the technical side players who are skilled with the ball, because the fact of the matter is it's 90 minutes of a game, and players normally only touch the ball for controlling it 3 to 5 minutes out of the whole time. So you need players that are smart enough and know when and where should they be when they don't have the ball.
And then finally, like you said, this is you had a very young team this year, so you bring back a lot of players next season. Along with getting your first full season or off season of recruiting, what are your early expectations for heading into next season?
I would expect us to certainly be more aggressive towards the opponent, have a harder work rate, We worked hard, but we can definitely work harder. And I know that the freshmen understand that. A lot of them did not know they were going to be playing college soccer until the middle of the summer, some even later. One player that I'd like to point out is Renzo Tenorio. He didn't make it from the first tryout, didn't make it from the second tryout, but was very humble, came on as our manager, would set pickup cones, would run down every loose ball, and we let him get in and would kick the ball around every now and then. And then I decided to bring him onto the team. He then became a regular starter and a natural leader for our team. And those are the types of things that I'm looking for the guys to lead off of into next season. Those are the type of personalities and work rate that I would really like to see to help us prepare for next season. But there's many other freshmen that I can go into detail if you would like. You like?
Where's some others that?
Okay. All right. So Alan Sanchez was another player that we picked up. Good personality, talented work rate, talented on the ball, pretty good work rate, improving as a leader. That's really good to see because, once again, a young player. Alex DeGrassi was another player who really stood out. Those two guys we picked up from the first tryout. Unfortunately, Alex struggled all season with injury, so our plan with him is to, step one, have him recover in the off season so that he's good to go by spring if possible. There's no guarantees there because he did have a setback when we thought he was going to be good. But talk about a high IQ. Kid's got an extremely high soccer IQ. Alfredo Martinez, very talented on the ball, learning the tactical aspects of the game still and improving on his defensive work rate, but I expect a lot from him this season. I mean, all three of those guys got a lot of playing time. Carlos Ochoa, about mid-season, he finally kicked into gear, and I can tell you that in speaking and telling him as well yesterday, we had our coaches' meetings with each player. Carlos was a very vital player to our team, but one of those ones that if you're watching and you don't know soccer, you probably wouldn't realize it. But he controlled the game. His defensive work rate improved as the season went on. Dan Jacobo came off the bench, played multiple positions for us, maybe the fastest player in the region, honestly. So I really look forward to him. He really is asking the right questions and doing what he needs to improve. David Graham's a freshman. He'll be graduating freshman eligibility-wise. And as what the guys always say with David Graham, something's about to happen. And he is a very large and imposing figure when he steps on the field. Unfortunately, he was dealing with injuries as the season wrapped up. With Israel Orego, I really liked him. He had that hard work rate, very humble player. He's got to improve with his communication, but came in, really, really improved. The first week, and we talked to him about this yesterday, the first week was almost just like a culture shock of the difference between high school soccer and college soccer for him. But he started to become more comfortable, always giving his best work rate. If he got beat, he would always get back as hard as he possibly could. We really looked at that. Keaton Simmons was a local from Hoggard. We started him off on defense. We kind of moved him around. He never argued. He actually, by the end of the season, played all 10 positions on the field as well. We had a handful of people that did that just due to injuries and different things. But Keaton came in, gave an extremely good work rate. I see a lot of possible future leadership with him as well. Martin Zambrano, while as of right now he's not returning to us, was a true shot stopper in the goal for us. He saved us so much as the season went on. I told him I'm going to miss him. I really wish he was coming back. Owen Tuman was the latest acquisition to the team. We played him in multiple positions to try and see where I was comfortable with him. We're going to look to put some weight and some muscle on him as the season goes on, as well as with a few other guys. But then he found a starting position at right back, and I got to say that he did pretty good as the season went on, so I was very happy with that. Pedro Ugarte, if you want a Jerome Bettis that plays soccer, he is your Jerome Bettis on the soccer field. And I can tell you that we played Spartanburg Methodist the other day, and obviously the way that game went with the score was not what I wanted. But they hadn't seen Pedro yet because Pedro has missed some games as of recent for various reasons. But Pedro came in, and these guys, you could see their entire bench. They're like, whoa, who is this guy? Like, that's literally the reaction we could hear from them from the sideline. And Pedro came in there and was just causing all kinds of havoc. So I'm looking forward to Pedro coming back next year as well. I already talked on Renzo, and then the last freshman was TJ Antia, and the possibility that we might bring TJ back, I don't think so. But again, a player who he played center back for me in the last game due to injuries against Spartanburg Methodist, so he actually played all 10 positions on the field as well. Good with both feet. Really good leadership, though not all that vocal, kind of a lead by example guy. You can tell he's interested in going into the military. He has that personality, that drive, that put in that extra work rate. But also, as well as a few of the other guys, as the season went on, you could just see the kind of the wear and tear. They weren't used to the college game, but TJ's somebody that I hope that we can get back next season, but there's no guarantee of that right now. So really, just summing up, that's our freshman class.
Yeah.
As well as Alan Garcia, who was a red shirt, but I look forward to him joining us next season as well. Just going over those guys and who we have, we can really build off that.
Yeah.
And as long as we bring in the right people that have the right personalities and the right work rate, I expect us to cause a lot of havoc for people that may overlook us because of what we did this season. But there were times during this season where we came in and we just laid it on people. In particular, our first game against Spartanburg Methodist at home, 4-3 loss on our part, which is disappointing, but they're nationally ranked. We came in there and our guys were turned on, and they were ready to go. Another one was earlier on against USC Lancaster. I don't think I'd seen my guys so hyped before a game until that one, and they really put it on those guys. My assistant coach, Richard, said that he felt sorry for Lancaster before that game started because he could tell that our guys were ready to roll. There was a few other good performances in there, but those are the two that really stood out in my mind as the season went on.
And speaking of Coach Richard Yacobu and having Coach Chris Harper, what was it like having familiarity with those two coaches coming back to be part of your staff?
Well, I can tell you that I can remember day one when I met them. I met them both at the same time. We were doing the, I think it was a 4K race down here. And so I'd only lived here for a week. Actually, not even a week. And we were doing that race together. And the athletic department, Chris Liebert, the former men's coach, he set us three up to where we were working together. And immediately they were like, "What can we do for you, Coach? What do you need?" And to have, I'm 27, Richard's 21, and I'm not going to throw Harper's age out there, but his daughter, one of his daughters is older than I am, so we'll leave it at that. But I can tell you that those guys were willing to do whatever, and often when one of those two weren't able to make it, because Richard is a full-time student and Harper has a full-time job, to have those two on staff was just great. We worked so well together. Did we always agree? No. But that's good, though, because it brings different personalities and it brings different ideas to the table. But I can tell you that often our conversations would end as soon as practice or a game was over, and would run until 1 a.m. on our group messaging between the three of us. And we would recap practice, recap the game, talk about each player individually, how they did on the day, what we want from them, what are we going to do the next day, how are we going to build off of this. And so I think that this staff right here, we're so strong together. We just need to bring in the right team to work with us. And I think that the guys we have now will do just that. We just need to obviously fill the rest of the roster for next year. But I can tell you that Richard, teaching someone to coach is not always an easy thing. Coaching can be very difficult, and I can tell you that there are many, many, many things that happened this season that caught him off guard because he had only ever been a player. While I started coaching at a young age, there's very few things that ever catch me off guard. But for him, there were, and we talked about those things. But he was also able to bring the player perspective in since he played last year. But I can say that his intellect as a coach grew so rapidly as the season went on. I was extremely impressed with how intelligent he became as a coach and changed from player mindset to coach mindset while also remembering the player mindset. It helped out a lot. So I'm looking forward to continuing to work with them. We're months ahead. I'm not going to go into detail, but the three of us, we're already talking months ahead. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go recruiting? What do we want to do with the team as far as workouts, and everything. We're giving the guys a week off, but then we're going to jump into that. And then what are we going to do in the spring? And all the special things we want to do for the guys that maybe we didn't get a chance to do this season because everything was just kind of thrown together at such a last minute that we just had to work with what we could and the time that we could and all that. So we have a lot of fun things planned for the guys in the spring, team bonding and whatnot that we didn't get as much of a chance to do this season. But there's also some team bonding that we're going to do with the guys that we have now before Christmas break as well. So those are things that I'm not going to say anything in case the guys listen to this because it's going to be surprises. But no, having Harper and Richard on this staff really helped strengthen the staff. I think with our different ages and are not always agreeing with things, but in the end coming to a good conclusion together on why are we going to do this and how.
As we mentioned ago, KFIR recently added new promotions. We're doing live stats now. We've done a lot more on-game promotion, recorded highlights. You guys now play at Legion Stadium. For your first year, was that a good big thing that you saw, seeing live stats as well as playing at Legion Stadium, which is a Wilmington icon?
Yeah, playing at Legion was very nice. I'm very happy that we got that stadium. We do practice still at North Campuses, which is where the games were last year, but to come in and play at Legion Stadium where a professional team is played, you have multiple professional sports teams that play there, and then it's very well renowned within the area. So I'm really looking forward to continue practicing and working there as the season goes on. Then the live stats, that made it very convenient for friends and family to keep up with games. I know that there were multiple people that I talked to that after the games, they always want to know the result, and often they already knew the result before I even contacted them because they were watching the live stats. So they actually knew the statistics of the game better than I did when the game was over because I didn't have time to go back and look at the stats until normally the day after. So I really like that. I think that it's a good recruiting tool, both of those having the live stats, because it allows us to branch out into friends and family and allow them to keep up, and then playing where professionals play and playing at Legion Stadium, a field that's always in premier shape in any weather, is very convenient as well. So those are two things I really enjoyed this season.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you next year. Nick, is going to be writing the articles every game. I'll be writing the preview. So, Coach, we wish you all the best in the recruiting visits.
All right, thank you very much.
Welcome back to the Sea Devil Nation podcast. That was our earlier interview with Coach C.W. Ponton of the Sea Devil men's soccer team. We also want to thank Faronte Drakeford, former Sea Devil men's basketball player, for stopping by as well to talk about his journey coming to Cape Fear Community College and where it led him in life. So, Zach, tonight we've got sophomore night going on for Sea Devil volleyball tonight at 5 p.m. at the Schwartz Center against USC Lancaster, their regular season finale before they go to the NJCEA conference tournament. What else is going on tap this weekend for the Sea Devils?
This weekend we have women's soccer NJCAA Region 10 conference semifinals. Starts tomorrow at October 29th at WRAL Sports Park in Raleigh, North Carolina. That game starts at noon. Good luck to our Lady Sea Devils.
All right, for all of us here on Sea Devil Nation, I'm Trent Brinkley.
I'm Zachary Hill.
We will see you next week for podcast number 2.